at night in the dark. At least when I'm not with you, it's like without you I just fall apart. And I don't know what I'm heading into, 'cause all of my emotions flow in a way that I just can't control. 'Cause I'm new to this, I don't know how to act, but I feel alive with you. Take it easy on my heart, otherwise I fall apart. I'm alive with you. Take it easy on my heart, otherwise I fall apart. Alive, alive, alive. You got no limits, I like that you're free. I wanna be that way with you. Chasing highs to take the weight out of me. Far from lows, I don't ever feel blue. 'Cause all of my emotions flow in a way that I just can't control. 'Cause I'm new to this, I don't know how to act.
Hello everyone, hi there, how's it going? And very welcome to the very first ever Sunday edition of the Big Nerd Pub Quiz, coming to you live on YouTube on this 5th of July 2020 haul. Hoping you're having a very, very good weekend. Yes, we've moved into a completely different stage of lockdown. The pubs are now open, and I actually managed to leave the county of Down for the first time in 3 months. I actually managed to spend the weekend down in Dublin, so big hello to all my buddies down in Dublin who are watching the Big Nerd Pub Quiz tonight. Yes, absolutely amazing. So yes, this is the very first Sunday night edition of the quiz. Figured I can't really compete with the free Premier League football that's happening at the moment, and you know, sure, I wouldn't want to anyway. I want to watch the games, but yes, tonight is going to be our very first special edition, our very first general knowledge edition of the Big Nerd Pub Quiz, but albeit with a very kind of secret kind of through theme with tonight's general knowledge quiz, which I will reveal later on this evening. Alright, stick about. If you've played before, thank you very much for coming back and joining us again. If this is your first time, this is how you play the Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Alright, like I said, it should be old hat to you if you've played it before. Get the Google Doc open in the link in the description of the YouTube channel below. It should be in the YouTube, the video you're watching. Open up the doc and you will see the Google link itself with all the answers, multiple choice answers. You just have to wait till I give out the questions. Pop in your email address. There's 8 rounds, 6 questions each. And there's only one correct answer per question. Once the quiz is finished, hit submit. You'll get the scores at the very end, but stick about to see the answers for tonight's quiz. It's recommended that you stream the quiz on a laptop or television and play using the Google form on your phone or other device. Good luck and have some fun. Get in touch with Big Nerd Pub Quiz via all the different social media channels I've got there. We've got Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Of course, leave comments in the comment section below for any feedback. If you want to shout out at any point tonight in the quiz, do get in touch via Facebook and Instagram. They've actually merged the two Facebook and Instagram messenger systems on pages now. So if you email message me on either one of those, by all means, it'll come straight to me here. And share your pics. Use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz. Let me know where you're playing and how you're getting on at the very end. Always love seeing pictures of you guys out there playing in the quiz. And don't forget to like and subscribe the YouTube channel. We're just popped over the 5.5k mark in YouTube subscribers, which I think is absolutely unbelievable. Thank you so much for all your support. And Big Nerd Pub Quiz is available for private events. I actually landed my very first corporate gig the other week. But yes, perfectly available for different for social distancing, fully customizable questions and graphics. It's very affordable and easy to set up. And if you want to get in touch with me, by all means, let me know. BigNerdPubQuiz@gmail.com and arrange a quote there. You can replay any of the Big Nerd Pub Quizzes that we've done over the last 3 months. There's all the different ones we have. We've done Star Wars, football, Disney, 80s, 90s. We've done Game of Thrones. We've done DC, Marvel, Father Ted, Friends. Extremely popular quizzes. And like I said, now the general knowledge quiz is now on a Sunday night, and that's your opportunity to win prizes. More on that coming up. This Tuesday is the Big Nerd TV quiz, and I still haven't come up with a concept for it yet. This is such a broad topic, but I'm sure I'll nail it down in the next night or two. But the Big Nerd TV quiz coming Tuesday, the 7th of July, and the very long-awaited Lord of the Rings quiz is coming this Thursday, the 9th, at 8 p.m. Now, a load of you guys have been looking forward to that one, and it's been much requested. There's a lineup for the rest of the month. We've got the sci-fi quiz coming next Tuesday week, Doctor Who on the 16th. We've got a specialist games quiz on the 21st, a wrestling quiz on the 23rd. We're doing our second music quiz on the 28th, and another specialist Star Trek quiz. Tonight's winner of the Big Nerd Pub Quiz will win this amazing Big Nerd Pub Quiz t-shirt. You can go to the nornarntees.com if you want to buy actually this merch. Use the code BIGQUIZ for a 10% discount. And the winner of tonight's quiz will also win a 12-pack of mixed beers courtesy of Nornarn Brew Co. It's for over 18s only, but check out their fantastic range of craft beers, including a Lockdown Pale Ale, which I've actually tried. It's really, really nice. And don't forget, tune into my radio show every weekday morning, 7 till 10 on Zest FM, your home for 80s mix We're getting bigger and better now. That's been on the air for a whole month. But yes, do check that out. And don't forget, you can support the Big Nerd Pub Quiz. It's like I said before, the quiz is always free to play, but you can support the work that goes into making the quiz happen by donating as little as £1 to the PayPal or become a Patreon. Massive thank you to all the supporters out there who've been actually funding the quiz over the last couple of weeks. Absolutely amazing. I really, really do appreciate it. Okay, tonight, like I said, 8 rounds coming up of specialist questions. However, like I said, tonight's quiz has a little bit of a theme to it, and it all will be revealed once we start firing into the questions. And I'll tell you now, after we start our first one, it's all general knowledge as always. Round 1. And yes, like I said, this was pitched to me a couple of weeks ago, and someone did mention, it was like, yeah, did you realize that, because we were originally going to be doing this quiz on a Saturday, and yesterday, as you all know, was July the 4th, which is the American Independence Day. So tonight's quiz is going to be quite an American-themed quiz, with 8 rounds all about the United States of America. So here we go, round 1, question number 1, and something you would have seen in the news. Amongst all the things that's happening this year, and like I said, 2020 just doesn't quit. But who announced on Twitter this week that they were going to run for president of the United States? Albeit, I don't know whether this is actually going to happen or not, because it's basically, how can we say, it might be a bit late. The starting gun for that presidential race has gone off quite a while ago. And funny enough, my friend last night, we were chatting about this, and we said, wouldn't it be really funny if this guy ran? Lo and behold, it comes out that he is. But round 1, question 1. Who announced on Twitter this week that they were going to run for president of the United States of America? So it's round 1, question number 1. Round 1, question number 2. So if people consider July the 4th to be America's birthday, then how old is the country? Okay, so to give it a little context, basically, when was the first Independence Day? And so how old would that make America? If July the 4th is technically considered to be the birthday of America, then when was the first Independence Day? And how old is the country? As of yesterday. So X amount of years and 1 day old. Round 1, question 2. So if people consider July the 4th to be America's birthday, then how old is the country? Round 1, question 3. Take a careful look at this one, because there might be a clue in the next question for it. But in the US, which US state is the monument Mount Rushmore? Obviously creating controversy, because it's in a particular area where Native American settlers, or Native Americans, consider the mountain to be sacred. And the presence of these carvings in the mountain considered to be a bit of a violation. But take a careful look, because in which US state is Mount Rushmore? And we're going to move swiftly on to this next one. Were you paying attention? Which of these US presidents is not on the monument at Mount Rushmore? Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Andrew Jackson, or George Washington? So which of those isn't on the monument at Mount Rushmore? See, I told you to pay attention, because there might be a clue in the one before it. But listen, round 1, question number 4. Which of these US presidents is not on the monument at Mount Rushmore? Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Andrew Jackson, or George Washington? The monument was built in 1924, quite controversially, like I said before, because it was on considered holy land in I think the Lakotas. Up in the particular state, which I'm not going to mention. It's actually not completed. It's actually meant to be a lot larger, apparently. And featured in the movie, the climactic sequences of North by Northwest, starring Cary Grant and directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Round 1, question 4. Round 1, question 5. So how many US states share a land border with Canada? So yes, this may require you to start using your head. See if you can list the states that border Canada in the north. But how many US states share a land border with Canada? I nearly got caught out on this side. I nearly left Canada by accident with my friend when I was at Niagara Falls. He was driving over the bridge to go in to leave Canada and to come back in to renew his visa. and he dropped me off at the bridge. When I walked back and then realized I'd actually left Canada because the border post was there. I didn't have my passport with me. And the border guard looked at me and was like, listen, you gotta believe me. I didn't just leave United States. And he looked up my Yahtzee visa and he's like, yeah, fine, but don't ever do that again, okay? Okay, so round 1, question 5. How many US states share a land border with Canada? It's round 1, question 5. And your final question for the general knowledge round tonight's quiz. So, who is the longest serving president in US history? So round 1, question 5. Who's the longest serving president in US history? Now, as we know, in the early 50s, the Constitution was amended to limit presidents to 2 terms of office, which means they can only serve for a maximum of 8 years. But prior to that, it was unlimited. So who was the longest serving president in the United States? Actually, historically elected for 4 terms. However, didn't see out to the last one. So round 1, question 6. Who was the longest serving president in US history? So that's round 1, question 6. And there's a roundup of your round 1 general knowledge questions for tonight. Number 1, who announced on Twitter this week that they were going to run for president of the USA? 2, how many... If people consider the July 4th to be America's birthday, then how old is the country? Like I said, clue there is work out when's the first Independence Day. Do some maths. So number 3, in which US state is Mount Rushmore? 4, which of those US presidents I've mentioned is not on the monument to Mount Rushmore? Lincoln, Roosevelt, Jackson, or Washington? 5, how many US states share a land border with Canada? And finally, number 6, who was the longest serving president in US history? All right, thank you very much. That's the first one. Oh, take that away and that away. Rushing to get this finished tonight. Like I said, I only managed to come back up by train this afternoon. I wrote the quiz on the train. I kind of figured I knew that would be a good time to write it out, and I actually was talking to my friend on the phone about ideas for various rounds, and he actually came up with the idea for the final one. So Decky, if you're watching tonight, this one's for you. Don't forget, if you want to get in touch with the Big Nerd Pub Quiz at any point tonight, get in touch via all the different social media channels here. We're live, like I said, but yes, by all means, drop me a line on Instagram or Facebook's the best way to DM me. Use the hashtag BigNerdPubQuiz on all your different social media channels. I'd love to see that. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so we've got 1 down, 7 to go. Let's move on to the next round. And it's all about US television. All right, so like I said before, the US television is, like I said, a behemoth of a topic. And decided it's such a big topic that we decided to actually kind of break it down. Well, do a kind of more general history of the television. But anyway, so here we go. Round 2, question number 1. What is the oldest TV network in the United States? Now, you obviously know there's the big 3, or big 4 now as it is. All with massive competition from the likes of Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime. But the traditional 4 big networks, out of all of those, so you got ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. Which of those is the oldest TV network in the United States? Round 2, question number 1. Round 2, question 2. So Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which was recently made into a film with Tom Hanks, aired on predominantly on which US TV channel? So, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, to fix the grammatical error there, which was recently made into a film with Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, aired predominantly on which US TV channel? Like I said, this was one that didn't come over to the UK, but if you watch reruns of it on YouTube, Mr. Rogers himself he's a very kind man. He was like a pastor. I think he was a Presbyterian pastor and an advocate for like kids' education, and talking about really difficult issues like racism and death and a lot of things, but did it in such a way which was really kind and really and this guy was absolutely adored. Hence they made the movie with him, with Tom Hanks playing him. And yeah, it's a lot of his stuff that he does. It's actually really lovely. It's a lovely wee show. It's a pity it wasn't shown over here in the UK. But Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, made into a movie with Tom Hanks, aired predominantly on which US TV channel? Round 2, question 3. I'm going to dedicate this one to my mom because she loves Oprah. Which city did Oprah Winfrey produce her long-running talk show from 1986 to 2011? To round 2, question 3. My mum loves Oprah Winfrey so much that when she was in this particular city that she got into a taxi, went round to the studio, queued outside, and managed to talk her way into the studio and got to watch a filming of her favorite chat show host. And she said it was amazing. And like I said, I wouldn't put it past her, but she did do this. And yeah, and a couple of years before the show ended. My parents actually went to see Letterman once as well. Interesting. But anyway, round 2, question 3. But which city did Oprah Winfrey produce her long-running talk show from 86 to 2011? Round 2, question 4. Which American media mogul founded CNN, which launched in 1980? So yes, the cable news network. It's got its headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. Like I said, one of the most predominant news coverage sites, but at the time was kind of inconceivable to have rolling news coverage happen. And because people back then didn't realize, the kind of the immediacy of news, but made history in terms of covering the Reagan assassination attempt in '81, and was the only station to be broadcasting the Challenger disaster live in 1986. So yes, it made strides in that respect and became a respected, obviously a bane in the side of Donald Trump as coverage there. But yes, CNN, founded by which American media mogul in 1980? Let's round 2, question number 4. Round 2, question 5. Which year did the controversial wardrobe malfunction, which Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake take place, resulting in a major FCC crackdown? So which year did the controversial wardrobe malfunction with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake take place, resulting in a major FCC crackdown? We all know what happened. It was the highest rated show in the States is obviously the Super Bowl, annual Super Bowl, and the halftime show itself, well, yeah. Was it intentional or not? I don't know. I'll have to look that one up. Round 2, question 5. But what year did the controversial wardrobe malfunction with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake take place, resulting in a major FCC investigation and crackdown? And the final one tonight, round 2, question 6. So when we're talking about the 4 big TV networks there earlier on, but what does the C stand for in the TV radio network CBS? So it's a something broadcast system. So yes, what does the C stand for in the TV radio network CBS? Ironically now, I think the channel is just called CBS, and it doesn't actually use it doesn't refer to itself as an acronym or an acronym anymore. It's just CBS. But what it did originally stand for is round 2, question 6. And there's your roundup there. US television questions. So yes, what's the oldest US TV network in the States? 2, which channel did Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood predominantly air on? 3, which city did Oprah Winfrey produce her long-running talk show between 86 and 2011? Which American media mogul founded CNN, which launched in 1980? Number 4. 5, what year did the controversial wardrobe malfunction take place between Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake, resulting in a major federal communications crackdown there? And at number 6, what does the C stand for in the TV radio network CBS? All right, like I said, thank you very much for taking part tonight in tonight's quiz. Like I said, this is an experimental one. Like I said, now that we moved the general knowledge to the Sunday nights, we're kind of figuring that everyone's kind of coming out of furlough, and we're all kind of going back to work. Well, most of us, hopefully, this is kind of more convenient night for everyone to do the quiz. Like Saturday nights, now that we've got the pubs open, and yes, although I do hope people are still staying safe and not flaunting the rules, as it were. As to say, seen some Soho last night, and I have to say, even down in Dublin, but down in Dublin was a lot quieter, I think, than London. Anyway, we're ploughing on here with tonight's quiz. Hope you're all enjoying it. Let's move on to the next round. And the next round is a geography round. It's US state capitals. I think you know what to expect from this one. And God damn it, I've got to do all these logos. Anyway, so I think you know what to expect from this one. I'm going to give you a list of 6 US state capitals. You have to guess which state they are the capital of. All right, so here we go. Round 3, question number 1. So Honolulu, start off with a nice easy one. I think you should all know where Honolulu is. And which US state is it the capital of in America? So round 3, question 1, Honolulu. So it's round 3, question 2. Round 3, question 2, Albany. So which state is Albany the capital of? It's funny the way these some of these states just have their smallest city, and it's like they're not even, you know, maybe it's a way kind of decentralizing power within the state from the kind of the major big cities, but it's like you almost assume as why wouldn't it be in like the largest city or the most well-known city? But nope. But there you go. Round 3, question 2, Albany. Which state is Albany the capital of? Round 3, question number 2. Yes, famous home of Seymour Skinner. It's an Albany expression. Steamed hams. That's what they apparently do call them there. Round 3, question 3. Austin. Yes, you can see a chap there in the middle there wearing a Keep Austin Weird shirt. So yes, Austin's kind of like a little sea of liberalism in the middle of a very conservative state. Hence, there's a home to a lot of really cool festivals. Southwest Festival, one of the coolest music festivals in the States. And Austin itself, yes, quite liberal, very easygoing compared to the rest of the state. You wouldn't think. Round 3, question 3, Austin. Which state is Austin the capital of? Round 3, question 4, Montgomery. Again, I don't really know much about Montgomery, so I can't really say anything. But Montgomery, which is US state is Montgomery the state capital of? 4 options there in your answer sheet. Like if you don't know, like I always said, take a guess, take a punt. With 1 in 4 chance of getting it. It's round 3, question number 4. Round 3, question 5. This is probably a state you've probably been in if you've ever traveled to America. Tallahassee. Yes, very popular with tourists. That's your clue with that one. Round 3, question 5. Tallahassee. State capital of which US state? And I've left quite a difficult one at the very end. And it's quite an unusually named, you'd think why this particular person's named after this, but anyway, Bismarck. Yes, Bismarck is the name of a capital of a US state, but which one? So it's round 3, question 6. Bismarck. Which US state is Bismarck the capital of? And there's your roundup of the US state capitals. All I need is the actual state they are aligned to. So I'm looking Honolulu, Albany, Austin, Montgomery, Tallahassee, and the very unusually named Bismarck. All right, yes, plowing along. Like I'm just looking at the clock here. Yes, we always try to get round 4 done by about half 8 in the evening. So that always marks the kind of the midway point of the quiz. Like I said, it's an American themed quiz, like you said, like as you've picked upon, and I've thrown in one of my favorite, or one of my patented put these in order rounds tonight. I'm sure you either love or loathe, but here we go. Have a go at it, and it's all going to be about US presidents. Okay, I think you kind of know what's coming up in this. I'm going to show you not 6, but 8. I thought I'd make this a little bit more interesting. I'm going to show you 8 US presidents. They're all scrambled up in order in which they served their term in the Oval Office. So I want you to put them in order, starting from the earliest and working way to the latest. Okay, so here we go. I think you should be able to work out, based on the size of their mutton chops, I guess. But yes, round 4, place these American presidents in order in which they served. Starting off, Abraham Lincoln, Gerald Ford, William McKinley, Martin Van Buren, Woodrow Wilson, Dwight D. Eisenhower, William Henry Harrison, Calvin Coolidge. So yes, round 4. Place these American presidents in order in which they served. Take your time with it. I'll let you, grab some pen and paper, sit down and kind of work it out. I'm going to leave these up till 8:30 on the dot, and that'll mean we've gone through the quiz. We're halfway through the point of the quiz. So Abraham Lincoln there, Honest Abe, needs very little introduction. Served as president from 1861 until his assassination in 1865, after the end of the Civil War. The emancipator and the leader of the Union Army that united the country after the end of the Civil War there. Gerald Ford, out of all the presidents in this list, is the only one never to be elected. Was appointed vice president after the resignation of Spiro T. Agnew in 1974, I think it was, or 73, and became president by default when Richard Nixon resigned. Interestingly, when Gerald Ford became president, he didn't have a vice president. In fact, the office of vice president remains vacant when a vice president takes over, which I didn't know. I thought he would have had his own appointee. No. But Gerald Ford actually ended up serving on the Warren Commission, investigating the assassination of JFK, and was a pro football player in his college days. William McKinley was another president to have the sad, ominous fortune to have been assassinated in 1901. Again, that kind of giving you an indication of where this president sits in the table. Again, I shouldn't be giving you dates. Martin Van Buren, a president that only could actually, was English was his second language. He spoke Dutch. Woodrow Wilson, Harvard-educated professor, orchestrated the start of the League of Nations, and sadly, America didn't join it, even though he came up with the idea for the UN essentially. Dwight D. Eisenhower, again, a president that was a former general during World War II. William Henry Harrison, interestingly, a president that served the shortest amount of time. Died after 30 days after contracting pneumonia, giving his inauguration speech. And it was so long, he actually got the cold and died. And Calvin Coolidge there, another president that died in office, but actually took over, became president, and actually had a lot of controversy. But there was a link to, they say, a link to a lot of various, how can I say, he became president after Warren G. Harding's death. But yes, ultimately led the United States into the Great Depression, and obviously didn't get re-elected afterwards. But in the late 20s. But yes, you can work that one out. I think I've given you enough clues there to kind of sit there and work that one out. So Abe Lincoln, Jerry Ford, William McKinley, Martin Van Buren, Woodrow Wilson, Dwight D. Eisenhower, William Henry Harrison, and Calvin Coolidge. And like I said, if you're listening to me, I would have given you enough clues there to kind of figure it out. And like I said, always kind of work it out by the size of their mutton chops. Anyway, a couple of more seconds on that, and we're going to move on to the next round. Oh, no, we're going to do our normal little advertisements and notices. Anyway, so yes, moving on. So that's round 4 all done and dusted. Anyway, yes, I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you found that one challenging. I know it's a bit of a tough one, but yes, like I said, if you were listening to me and you were listening to enough of the clues, it would have made it a little bit easier. Anyway, thanks for playing Big Nerd Pub, because we're now over the halfway point. Here's our usual suspects of podcasts and things that I always plug every week. It's the Stuck in Here with You podcast, the Lockdown podcast, which I'm assuming is coming to an end now, Jez. I think that, now that lockdown is kind of ending, and you've got like a kind of, how can I say, an archive of what you've done throughout the lockdown. That's on every day. It's the daily podcast. We've got the Stuck in Here with You podcast, written by my buddy Paul. And that he's the guy who wrote the amazing Pokemon quiz, which was on during the week. Check that out, mixcloud.com/hot topic nightmare. Also check out Banterflix and the Fright Club, those guys have written the movie quiz, the Disney quizzes, and the horror quizzes, respectively. They're fantastic film bloggers, and if that's your thing, do check them out. And also, don't forget to play those quizzes again. If you're a horror aficionado, yes, they're all up online. Disney and movies, they're all up online for you to play at any time. So don't worry if you missed them. Also, check out the Nerd Party, a collection of podcasts dedicated to loads of different nerdy topics. So whatever your fandom, it's all in there. Like I said before, don't forget to check out my radio show on Zest FM. It's really picking up speed now. I have to say, loads more people listening to it and watching it now. And it's nice. It's fantastic. Like I'm really digging through my crate of 80s music to get, learning more about the decade. Tonight you can win Big Nerd Pub Quiz t-shirt and some Lockdown Pale Ale and a selection of brews, all from Northern Ireland Beer, from Northern Ireland Brew Co. So do check that out. And like I said before, thank you very much for obviously supporting the Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Really means a lot. Like I said, you can sign up via Patreon and PayPal. Always free to play. This quiz will never be charged, but like I said, you can always support the work that goes in to making it. And don't forget, you can hire the Big Nerd Pub Quiz for any event that you're doing. Like I said, it's the perfect lockdown event. Now that we're coming out, but even then, still for big, whatever occasion, we can still organize it live or online, fully customizable and quite affordable. All right, couple of shout outs before we move on to the next part of the quiz. Yeah, we've got, so my wife, Charmaine, is a cat fanatic. She rise to the challenge and write a Big Nerd cat quiz. She would love it. And that's Paul from Fleet in Hampshire. Yes, well, I'll look into it, man. We could do a cat one. I've done a dog round before. So what's stopping doing a cat one? Definitely, it's a good idea. Liam Shorehold's watching tonight. He's actually dropped a little fact in. Calvin Coolidge was actually born on July 4th. So there you go. That's a pretty cool fact there. Becky Hatch is watching as well, and she says, can we have a Sons of Anarchy quiz or Buffy the Vampire Slayer quiz? Well, definitely look into that. We had a couple of Buffy the Vampire Slayer questions in the horror movie quiz there. We've got Sadie and Grant in Halifax, Nova Scotia, who's playing, and they said it's a beautiful sunny day over here. I wish I could say the same, and the weather's absolutely terrible. But anyway, hope you're staying inside and playing the quiz tonight anyway. And we've got Scott Perry, who's playing with Scott and Lisa. And they're saying they're back on it tonight, and there has been a while, and they've missed out on a few. So like I said, thank you so much for playing tonight. And don't forget to get in touch with me. Like I said, Big Nerd Pub Quiz on all the different social media channels. Like, subscribe, follow them all for more updates and more input. I love hearing from you guys. Some kid in Alaska he's going to help me with the wrestling quiz. I've got loads of people volunteering and lining up to do quizzes throughout the week. Anyway, wasting no more time and moving on to round 5 tonight. And like I said, round 5 is always the sports round. Gonna waste no time and move straight into round 5, question number 1. So like I said, I'm asking for different teams. I'm gonna give you the name of different teams. You gotta tell me where they're based. So the Twins, the baseball team, the Twins, where are they from? So round 5, question 1. The Twins. Which US city do the Twins represent in baseball? Round 5, question 2. The Marlins. Again, some of the clue in there may be that a lot of teams likes to use alliteration when it comes to their name. So the clue could be there. Like, I'll give you a clue. It's not coming up. It's the Pirates. Yeah. Pittsburgh Pirates. Or the Philadelphia Phillies. Again, not the most inventive, but like a lot of teams like to use the old alliteration there. But round 5, question 2, the Marlins. Which city do they represent? Round 5, question 3, the Seahawks. Very successful NFL franchise. Which city or region do they represent? Round 5, question 3. The Seahawks. Round 5, question number 4. The Cardinals. Interesting fun fact, I was meant to see the Cardinals this year, but then obviously COVID hauled that all off. Yes, it was an exhibition game between the Cardinals and the Cubs in London Stadium. I had tickets for that on the first day. And like I said, Red Sox, Yankees the year before, and it was absolutely amazing. And as you know, if you've watched the quiz, you know I'm a bit of a baseball nut. I do love baseball. It's my favorite American sport. And I know a lot of people love it NFL, but I don't know. Baseball for me, I absolutely love it. So round 5, question 4. The Cardinals, but what US city did they represent? Round 5, question 5. The Steelers. Interesting fun fact about this one. The owner of the Steelers, a guy called Art Rooney, and he's actually, his descendants are from Newry in County Down. But which franchise does he own? Or did he own, I think. But anyway, the Steelers. Clue again in the name. This particular town, famous for steel production in the States. Round 5, question 5. And round 5, question 6. Stuck this in here because I have a friend of mine who's actually a massive fan of this team. The Predators. Weirdly enough, she's not even from the place where this is, but she's a big fan of the team. She loves her hockey. And she's a big fan of this franchise. They're not... It'll surprise you where this team is from, but round 5, question 6. The Predators. I think they reached the playoffs a couple of seasons ago for the Stanley Cup. Round 5, question 6. The Predators. And there's your sports roundup. Go through those quickly one more time. So we got the Twins, the Marlins, the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Steelers, and the Predators. Alright, so that is round 5. Oh, God, I still got these up from the last quiz. So round 5, that's, yes, all done and dusted there. That's our sports round all done. We're moving on to round 6. Thought I'd make this one a bit interesting. Who better than an American icon for a whole music round dedicated to himself, the king of rock and roll, Mr. Elvis Presley. Like I said, 6 questions all about Elvis. We've done one about the Beatles, and I thought we'll, do one about the guy who influenced the Beatles, the king of rock and roll himself, Mr. Elvis Aaron Presley, born in Nashville, Tennessee, or Memphis, was it? Anyway, I'll have to fact check that one. Anyway, but round 6, question number 1. So, what was the name of Elvis Presley's volatile manager who was nicknamed the Colonel? Yes, this guy was extremely dodgy and actually might have fled a country where he was from because he might have murdered someone. I'm not even joking about that. Look it up. If you know who it is, do look it up. Not look it up now. Don't cheat. I'm not advocating that. Round 6, question 1. What was the name of Elvis Presley's volatile manager who was nicknamed the Colonel? Round 6, question number 1. Round 6, question 2. So which Las Vegas hotel did Elvis do a total of 837 consecutive sold-out performances in front of 2.5 million people between 1969 and 1976? Yes, I have to say this is my favorite era of Elvis, the kind of fat, bloated, sequined, jumpsuited Elvis. Some of his best gigs, I think that's when he really came into his own brand. And yes, but round 6, question 2. Which Las Vegas hotel did Elvis do a total of 837 consecutive sold-out performances in front of 2.5 million people between 1969 and 1976? Round 6, question 3. Released in 1956, what was the name of Elvis's feature film debut? Alright, so Elvis appeared in a load of movies, so much so they actually became a genre unto themselves. Elvis movies. They were quick money spinner, they were cheap to make, they could bang them out, and they could make loads and loads and loads of money for him and sell a couple of records on the back of them. But yes, Elvis became one of the first, well, not the first. There was loads of musicians who were doing it way before, in terms of movie to music to movie crossover. Not that uncommon in the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s, so especially when they invented sound, of course. But yeah. But Elvis, like they said, they wanted to really capitalize on Elvis's popularity, making loads of movies. But released in 1956, what was the name of Elvis's first ever movie that he did? Round 6, question 3. Round 6, question 4. What was the name of the famous recording studios in Memphis where Elvis recorded his early records between 1953 and 1955? And yes, this is a very, very famous recording studio. It's now a US and historical landmark. You can go and visit it. And apparently, loads of greats, like Johnny Cash and Buddy Holly and everyone recorded in this studio at one point or another. But round 6, question 4. I'm looking for the name of the famous recording studios in Memphis, Tennessee. Elvis recorded all his early records, or the first of his early records, between 53 and 55. Here's an interesting one. Let's see how many of you get this one. But round 6, question 5. Whilst Elvis never toured or played a concert in the UK, which city did he visit while stopping over on a return from his stint in the army in 1960? So yes, we all know Elvis joined the army. He signed up, he enlisted, he did a tour of duty. The rank he made was sergeant. He actually made sergeant in his time in the army. And on his way back from assignment or deployment, he landed in a particular city in the UK. And he got off. It was like on a stopover. I think legend has it, and you can talk to a couple of different pubs in the city that they say, oh, Elvis came into the pub and had a pint. Very dubious. I doubt he even left the airport. But yes, people were aware that he was there, and the press did interview him and say hello to him. But partially the reason why Elvis never played in the UK is because his manager, like I said in question 1, was so paranoid of him being plucked off and taken by another agency or another management company. So that's part of the reason why he never toured the UK or played a gig in Europe. Let's round 6, question 5. So which UK city did he visit while stopping over from his return on his stint in the army? And your final question, all about Elvis, is which US president famously deputized Elvis into the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs? I think the year was 1971. The meeting was actually kept secret for a couple of years, and the photograph between Elvis meeting this particular president is the most requested photograph to be from the US National Archive. The photograph itself actually inspired a movie that was made based on real events that Elvis just rocked up to the White House and asked to go in and talk to the president, because he's the king, and as we all know, kings outrank presidents. But yes, when the king met the president, a very, very famous photograph. I wish I could put it up. But which US president famously deputized Elvis into the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs, which actually went on, that bureau itself became the DEA. Anyway, so round 6, question 6. And there's your Elvis Presley roundup. So what was the name of Elvis's manager? 2, which hotel did Elvis do his 837 consecutive gigs in Vegas between 69 and 76? 3, released in 56, what was the name of the first ever Elvis movie? 4, what was the name of the recording studio in Memphis where Elvis recorded his early records between 53 and 55? 5, whilst Elvis never toured the UK, but which city did he make a visit when stopping over on return from his stint in the US Army? And 6, which US president famously deputized Elvis into the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs? All right, now time is now 8:45. I see we're a little bit pressed for time. We want to get through the next 2 rounds as fast as we can, and we'll move on to the answers at the very end of the quiz. Let me know how you're getting on. Let me know if you're enjoying it tonight. If you think it's a little bit too difficult or too easy, well, sure, the only way you can find out is at the end. Anyway, thank you very much for playing. We're moving on to our next round here, and it's all about American literature. Yes, we always do an arts and lit section in this part of the quiz, but I thought we'd do this one all about American artists, art and literature. So here we go, 6 questions all about famous American writers, poets, essayists, humanists. Anyway, it's around 7, question 1. So yes, this poet, journalist and essayist is known as the father of free verse. So just, what's his name? So name that humanist. So yes, like I said earlier on, he's the very, very respected poet, American poet. So yes, he's known as the father of free verse. Which poet, journalist, and essayist is known as the father of free verse? Round 7, question 2. Another Nobel Prize laureate, but what author first received critical acclaim for the Song of Solomon? It's round 7, question 2. So yes, which author received critical acclaim for the Song of Solomon? That's round 7, question 2. Round 7, question 3. Her poetry book, Annie Allen, made this author the first ever African American to earn the Pulitzer Prize. So name that poet. So who was the first African American to win the Pulitzer Prize? Now, the Pulitzer Prizes are kind of like the Nobel Prize for, well, there is a Nobel Prize for literature, but it's an American Nobel Prize for letters, for photography, for journalism, for poetry, for literature, and it's a very, very prestigious prize. Her poetry book, Annie Allen, made this first African American to win a Pulitzer Prize. Name the poet. So round 7, question 4. Which perpetually sullen poet was the author of The Raven? And if you've played the Simpsons quiz, which you did a couple of weeks ago, they did an adaptation of The Raven, and it was voiced by James Earl Jones, the guy who did Darth Vader. And that was one of the questions. But who wrote The Raven? Quote The Raven and nevermore. So it's round 7, question 4. Like rhymed. Round 7, question 4. Which perpetually sullen poet was the author of The Raven? Round 7, question 5. Known as the father of American literature, which author's real name is Samuel Langhorne Clemens? Yes, his pseudonym is way more famous, obviously. His pseudonym actually means something really benign. It's a double entendre, which is really weird. But yeah, you can tell he had a really funny sense of humor. But round 7, question 5. Known as the father of American literature, which author's real name is Samuel Langhorne Clemens? Picture him almost. Yes, one of the most famous American writers. Round 7, question 5. And your final one, round 7, question 6. Might meet this beatnik writer on the road. So name that pioneer of the beat generation. So who wrote the famous book On the Road? Now, interestingly, the book itself was written on what I could only describe as greaseproof paper, or baking paper, like in a roll. So he basically took the whole, instead of typing it sheet by sheet, he actually put it into rolls of this stuff. I think either baking paper or something like that, or what he would do is he put it into the typewriter and keep type. So he would never lose his flow of concentration. So the whole book itself, the whole manuscript, which I've seen, was on display in the National Library in Britain, and it's there. It's like the whole thing, and I actually sat and examined it and tried to figure out which part of the book I was at, and but yes, it's real, it exists, and that's how he wrote this particular book. But who wrote that particular book On the Road? It's fantastic if you want to delve into that era. But anyway, there's your roundup there of American literature questions. So who was known as the father of free verse at number 1? What author received critical acclaim for Song of Solomon? 2. The poetry book Annie Allen made this author the first African American to win the Pulitzer Prize. 4. Which perpetually sullen poet was the author of The Raven? 5. Who is known as the father of American literature? And number 6, who wrote On the Road? So who was the beatnik writer that wrote On the Road? All right, now, so we've come to the final round of tonight's quiz. And like I said, this particular round was actually suggested to me whilst I was on the train. I was talking to my friend on the train, telling him about my weekend, and we were catching up. And I was saying to him, I was like, listen, I'm a bit of a loss here. I've got all these different topics, and we've done movies to death. But what particular what would be a good round for the final round? And he said, do it on this. And it's about US state laws. So it's all about weird state laws. All right? So yes, As we all know, American states all have their own jurisdictions and own legislatures, which are quite different and very unique to each different of the 50 states themselves. So these are questions all kind of about that. And yes, like I said, this one requires kind of no knowledge, just pure blind luck. So we'll have a go at it. Like I said, it's a bit of fun, this one. And I can tell you now, there's no logic to it. There's no kind of way of going, there just isn't. Don't forget, at the very end, once you submit your answers, you'll get your scores, but stick about to hear the answers. So here we go. Round 8, question 1, the final round here. So in which US state do you have to be over 18 years old to play pinball machines? It's a bit mental, isn't it? But which US state do you have to be over 18 years old to play pinball machines? Much like Nintendo and Xboxes and now these days, pinball machines were caused like moral outrage when they first introduced in the 30s and the 40s in arcades up and down the States. And like everything, every generation has its moral panic, and yes, pinball was one of them. And you had to be over 18 to play pinball machines in this particular state. Which one? Round 8, question 1. Rather somber one, this one. I thought I'd throw this one. Round 8, question 2. How many US states retain the death penalty? So yes, in the 1970s, in 1969, 1970, there was a Supreme Court moratorium on the death penalty, which actually made it illegal across all 50 states. However, that was lifted after various states appealed. And now there's, since 1977 to now, there's been a steady flow of executions in the states. Rather grisly fact. But how many US states actually retain the death penalty? Out of the 50, how many still have it? That's round 8, question 2. Round 8, question 3. In which US state is it illegal to share your Netflix password? I know, yes, there's been, you've done it before. Everyone's done it, but round 8, question 3. Which US state is it completely illegal to share your Netflix password? Round 8, question 3. Here's an interesting one. Round 8, question 4. How many states is recreational use of cannabis legal? Federally, it's still illegal. Canada has completely legalized it, not even just decriminalized it. You can buy it anywhere. It's actually regulated and taxed by the government in Canada. And a lot of US states have taken upon itself in the last couple of years to just completely legalize it. Make it the same as alcohol. Tax it, regulate it. Takes power away from drug dealers. But yes, this is a growing trend in the states. How many states is recreational use of cannabis legal? Round 8, question 5. Bear wrestling is banned in which state? You'd hope so. You'd really hope so. And I don't know what that is. That could mean like bear wrestling, like two bears wrestling. Is it like bear baiting? Or is it a man wrestling a bear? I wouldn't want to go up against one of those things. Round 8, question 5. Bear wrestling banned in which state? And this is your penultimate one for the first ever Sunday Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Let's have it out. Let's hear it. Don't forget, once you hit submit, you'll get your score, but let me know how you get on, and we'll get your answers straight away. But here we go, our final question tonight. In which US state can you not sell your car on a Sunday? Yes, just in case you want to know, Good Housekeeping magazine had an article about this, and that was my source. So yes, all these particular ones, I picked it out of an article and went through it and was like, right, that's interesting. But yes, so which US state can you not sell your car on a Sunday? And again, there's no logic to it. It's one of those things. So anyway, round 8, question 6. Which US state can you not sell your car on a Sunday? And like I said, all these ones just blind guessing. But anyway, that's your roundup for weird US state laws. Which US state do you have to be over 18 to play pinball machines? 2. How many US states retain the death penalty? 3. In which US state is it illegal to share your Netflix password? 4. How many states is recreational use of cannabis legal? 5. Bear wrestling is banned in which state? And which state can you not sell your vehicle or your car on a Sunday? Anyway, thank you very much for playing tonight's Big Nerd Pub Quiz. That was a tricky round. I know it was kind of frustrating. Like you said, have a go, but then it's part of the fun of this. I like to make these things so it's like not as Googleable or just that's the whole point of it. If it was too easy, it'd be boring. But if it was too hard as well, it'd also be boring. So it's nice to find a middle ground. Anyway, thanks to everyone who all been texting in for your shout outs and everything like that. Declan McKay's been watching, like it says. Greetings from Graz. Nicole's watching again. Yes. Nicole said the bars were open in Austria a couple of months ago. She's back. Mark, he says there are... someone's called me out in one of the questions. Yes, Richie said there, but go for that. Anyway, so round 8. Thanks you so much for taking part tonight. Like I said, if there's any mistakes in the quiz, basically because I wrote it this afternoon, I was just coming up from Dublin. I do apologise for it. But like I said, I will don't change any of them. I'll give yourself a point regardless. And like I said, the last round should have kind of evened everything out. But anyway, here we go. Here's our answers for tonight's quiz. So yes, Kanye West, surprise, surprise, has announced that he's running for president. America is 244 years old. South Dakota is where the Mount Rushmore is, and Andrew Jackson is not on it. Thomas Jefferson is on it. On the along with Lincoln, Roosevelt, and Washington. 13 states border Canada, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt is the longest-serving U.S. president. NBC is the oldest network in the States. PBS is where Mr. Rogers is produced or was aired. Chicago is where Oprah Winfrey is from and where she produces her show. Ted Turner set up CNN. 2003 is when the wardrobe malfunction happened at the Super Bowl, and Columbia, it's the CBS, Columbia Broadcasting System. Your state capitals there: Hawaii, Honolulu; Albany, New York; Austin, Texas; Montgomery, Alabama; Tallahassee, Florida; and Bismarck, North Dakota. Your presidents in order in which they served. So the 8th president of the United States was Martin Van Buren, the Van Buren boys from Seinfeld, if you recognize that reference. William Henry Harrison followed him and was the shortest serving president. Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War. William McKinley in finished up to 1901. Woodrow Wilson after him, followed by Calvin Coolidge, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and Gerald Ford, the latest one. So yes, Minnesota... It's Minneapolis, yes, but I will do give yourself that one if that is the answer. Miami, the Marlins; Seattle, the Seahawks; the Cardinals of St. Louis; Pittsburgh is the Steelers; and Nashville, Tennessee, as the Predators, the Nashville Predators. Yes, the answers for round 6 there. The Elvis one is Colonel Tom Parker. The International was the hotel where he played. Love Me Tender was his first movie. Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee was where he played his first ever records, or laid down his first records. Glasgow is where Elvis stopped over. And Richard Nixon was the president that bestowed and deputized Elvis. Your... literature roundup there. So Walt Whitman, Toni Morrison, Gwendolyn Brooks, Edgar Allan Poe, Mark Twain, and Jack Kerouac was your round 7 answers there. And finally, South Carolina, 30 states with the death penalty; Tennessee, 11 states for cannabis; Missouri, and Michigan. Like I said, there was no kind of logic to any of those. Anyway, yes, thank you so much for playing the Big Nerd Pub Quiz this evening. Really appreciate you turning up on a Sunday to do this. Like I said, my hope and my aim is to make the Sunday one the main one going forward. And like I said, as we kind of ease out of lockdown and as we've got more things to do throughout the week, I'm gonna, like I said, reduce the quizzes down to like basically 2 a week, to possibly 1, but the Sunday being the main general knowledge quiz that we do every week. Like I said, I don't want to kill the project, and I know a lot of you guys are out having fun and having the crack and everything, and I know there's a lot more things to do, and I know there's more football on, but it's an absolute pleasure for me to do this, and like I said, it keeps my skills up, it keeps my learning up, and like I said, it's a great source for me, and it's been fantastic, everyone supporting it over the last couple of weeks. Don't forget, TV quiz on this Tuesday. If you have any ideas of what to do for that one, I'm still in the dark about it, but I'll hash it out. I'll hash a quiz out for you on Tuesday, followed by a Lord of the Rings quiz, which I have 2 Lord of the Rings quizzes written for me. I'm just going to amalgamate the 2 and pick the best rounds from it. But the Big Nerd Lord of the Rings quiz coming up on Thursday, the 9th of July. There's the rest of the lineup there. For you Trekkies, you've got a long wait. The sci-fi, Doctor Who, games, wrestling, another music quiz. All to look forward to. And don't forget, tune into my radio show tomorrow on Zest FM. Download our app, zestfm.co.uk. To listen into that. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and apologies if there's any mistakes or errors in the quiz. Like I said, the margin of error, it's just me doing it, and it's just a bit of fun at the end of the day. Like I said, if you are indeed correct, do give yourself a point or a pat in the back for pointing it out. But like I said, I wrote this quiz on the train on the way up from Dublin at the weekend, and it was lovely to get out of County Down. Thank you very much again for playing the Big Nerd Pub Quiz. Don't forget to support the Big Nerd Pub Quiz using the PayPal and the Patreon. Follow me with all the different social medias. Give me some feedback and if any ideas for more quizzes. And like I said, like and subscribe to the channel. That's the most important thing. Much love to you all. Stay safe. Have a lovely week. If you're going back to work, enjoy yourself. Take care. Stay safe no matter what. Remember to wear masks on public transport and wash your hands. See you again on Tuesday. We'll see how that Big Nerd TV quiz works out. And nothing more for me to say, but have a lovely Sunday evening. And I'll see you again soon. Good night.